Hello there, my name is Thomas O'Regan and I'm a professional property investor here in Australia. Now today I wanted to talk about self-managed super fund investing for property investors. Now, as you guys probably all know right now, there's been huge changes from the government to self-managed super fund lending especially in residential property. And what they have done is they have said in 2026, in August of 2026, there can be no more self-managed super fund loans. There can be no residential self-managed super fund properties purchased. That is not happening anymore. We're not allowing self-managed super funds to purchase residential properties anymore. So basically, what has happened to the market there is every person that was thinking about getting a self-managed super fund a residential property in the self-managed super fund is scrambling right now to try and get that over the line. And it's kind of crazy really, but whatever. Now, what am I actually, I kind of laughed because you just never know when things are going to change, especially like this, especially in legislation, especially in policy when it comes to property investing. And if there's an opportunity that is open or available today, now, you just have to go for it straight away, because tomorrow you can wake up and that opportunity can be completely gone. A lot of people question me when I'm pushing so hard, trying to do so many deals, and they say, hey, why are you trying to push so hard? Why don't you just wait? Why don't you just calm down? You don't need to purchase so many properties, blah-de-da-de-da. And I say, look, seriously, I have the ability to do it now. I don't need to wait for a change that I haven't anticipated or can't see. There's good deals in front of me now. I'm going to get as many as I can, as fast as I can, because I know tomorrow I can wake up and it can be made impossible. That's just how it works. And just to give you a story about that, I was getting my sister her first property, and we got a pre-approval for a loan. And when we got the pre-approval, the bank said, hey, you are to my sister, you're a nurse, we'll give you a 5% deposit, which is not available to anyone else, and you will not ever have to pay LMI, and you will not have to pay a higher interest rate. Does that sound interesting to you? She said, yeah, that sounds great. And I was like, wow, that's amazing, that's great. Let's go find you a property. The next week, we found my sister a property and we applied to the bank, and the bank said, hey, by the way, we changed our policy last night. You can no longer get a 5% deposit. You now have to get a 10% deposit. And as well as having to get a 10% deposit, you'll have to pay LMI as well. And you'll have to be at a higher rate than you would have otherwise if this policy didn't change. And it's just like, if we could have just bought the property quicker, we could have got that amazing deal. And when I say deal, I mean the product that the bank was offering. But that's what happens, okay? So if you have an opportunity, go for it. But yeah, with this self-managed super fund, the catch is, or it's not a catch, but basically you can still buy properties in your self-managed super fund, but it has to be a commercial property. Now, for most people, I would not recommend buying commercial property because I haven't done it myself, and it may be a myth, but generally in commercial properties, you have to be a bit more of a savvy investor. You have to understand what's going on and what's good or what's not good. And you need to do that, you need to kind of cut your teeth on residential investing and how all of that works. Because just for example, in residential investing, it might take 1 to 2 weeks to 4 weeks to get a tenant, but in commercial property, it may take 1 month to 2 months to 3 months to 3 years to get a commercial property tenant. Now, if you're not aware of that, and if you're not aware of what levers to pull if that situation happens to you in commercial property, then you probably shouldn't buy commercial property, right? Because it's scary, right? If you don't understand how important it is, and you haven't learnt this from residential investing, how important it is to have the best property manager you possibly can, and how to assess whether you have the best property manager you possibly can, then how are you going to know whether you have a good commercial leasing agent? Okay, and commercial property and residential property aren't even the same, so it's like not even the same measurements you'd be using, right? But for example, if commercial property is going to take you maybe 3 months to find a tenant, or maybe 6 months to find a tenant on average, imagine if you have a shitty commercial property management or leasing agent for 6 months, and you waste 6 months of potentially finding a tenant with this bad leasing agent that you should have otherwise been with another agent that was better, that would have got the job done. Then you wasted 6 months, and those mistakes are far more forgiving in residential property. That's why I recommend understanding residential property first. But yeah, if the only path is commercial property to build wealth in your self-managed super fund in property, then you have to do that. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm actually just bought one property, residential property. Once the property doubles, I'll probably sell the property and then take the profits and invest it into a larger commercial property deal and start scaling that in my self-managed super fund, because I like building property portfolios, and it's just another vehicle to build wealth in, and it's great. See you guys next time. Bye.